It's a 5-star basketball camp. 5-star basketball camp. Give me one day at basketball camp. 5-star basketball camp.
On behalf of my partner, Will Klein, I'd like to take this brief opportunity to thank the high school coaches of America for their continued and loyal support to the 5-star program for over 30 years. During this period of time, 5-star has been fortunate enough to be a part of 250, actually more than 250 5-star campers going on and playing at least one game in the NBA. But more important to you is the fact that 168 5-star staff members, that's high school coaches and college players, have gone on from our program to college coaching at some level, and 16 of them right to the NBA itself. Now at 5-star camp, we have a slogan. We say, fellas and gals, you're at the 5-star basketball camp where the teaching never stops. So with that in mind, let the teaching begin.
Welcome to the 5-Star Basketball Instructional Video Series. My name is Brodzinski, and over the next hour, I'm going to teach you about the most important, but yet most taken for granted part of basketball, the art of shooting. At 5-Star, I have the unique privilege of being called the shooter. Through my station, I've had the greats like Bob Hurley, Christian Laettner, Jamal Mashburn, and Alonzo Mourning. And I'm pleased to see that all of them have become better shooters while moving on from the high school to the pro level. Shooting makes a distinction among players from the grade school level to the pros. It can turn a player from fair to good to great. And it can turn teams into state, NCAA, and NBA champions. Think of what distinguishes the great pro players. They all can run and jump, they're great athletes, and they're big and strong. But it's shooting that puts Jordan, Olajuwon, and Robinson, and young players like Hardaway, Laettner, and Hill above the rest of the competition. If shooting, one simple skill, can do that for the pros, imagine then what it can do for you on the junior or senior high school level. It can mean making the team, playing time, becoming a starter, and possibly becoming a high school All-American and moving on to the collegiate level. Come with me, and I'll show you my technique, the 5-Star 5-step method to becoming a great shooter. Each group that comes through my station at the 5-Star basketball camp is asked the same question. What's the first step in becoming a great shooter? I get a variety of answers. Answers like being square to the basket, concentration, and follow through. All of these items are going to be talked about during the course of this presentation, and all are good answers. But the correct answer is that the first step to becoming a great shooter is that first you must know the basketball. Some time ago, I heard a Chinese proverb which went something like this: a swimmer knows the nature of water. When I thought about that and applied that to shooting, that proverb is fully understandable. There's no way that a swimmer can become great unless he first understands the water itself. The swimmer has to feel comfortable in what he spends most of his time. Well, likewise, a great shooter then must truly know the basketball. The reason is this: if a shooter cannot handle a pass and fumbles the ball, if a shooter is dribbling and cannot pick the ball up cleanly off the dribble, then the shooter has no chance. But if a shooter knows the basketball and can handle the pass cleanly, if a shooter can pick the ball up off the dribble without fumbling it, then the shooter has a chance of becoming a great shooter. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, how do you come to know the basketball? The answer is simple. I recommend that the beginning of every shooting workout begins with the drills that the great Pete Maravich made famous, the manual dexterity drills. I'm going to bring out Duke, and he's going to demonstrate for us while I help you understand the value of these drills. Drills like around the body, which appears to be a very simple drill, but develops hand-ball coordination. A drill like hand-to-hand, which builds hand strength and fingertip control of the basketball. A drill like the front flip. Good job, Duke. Which keeps the head up, develops hand quickness, and again, develops that all-important feel for the basketball. The side flip. The figure 8 pass-through. The dribble 8 dribble-through. And the pound-through. And 4 drills that I developed: the backboard spin, which develops coordination of both hands and again fingertip control of the basketball. The standstill rotation drill, which we'll talk about later in terms of the proper spin of the basketball. The grip drill, the grip drill is a drill that I developed because many shooters have a problem of bringing their shooting hand to the ball rather than bringing the ball to their shooting hand. And finally, the sitting machine gun drill. Right hand, left hand, and hand to hand. Thanks, Duke. These drills develop an important part of shooting that takes place from the elbow to the fingertips. They help develop something that has been lost through the last decade, and that's the all-important touch of the basketball. Later on, I'm going to talk about the importance of the three-point line. Unfortunately, because many players at a young age shoot the three with improper mechanics, Many players have lost the touch of the basketball. You have to remember, many of the greatest ball handlers of all time have limited themselves because they only work on the ball handling facet and don't take the final steps of the journey of becoming a great shooter. Next, you need to develop my philosophy of shooting, which means at first, you must negate all of the fallacies that surround shooting. Fallacies like shooting is easy. All you have to do to be a great basketball player is be a good athlete. That great shooters are born and not made. And finally, that it's defense that wins basketball games. My answer to all of those is that through hard work, anyone can become a better shooter. Even the greatest athletes ultimately realize that it's shooting that will put them above the competition. Fair shooters may be born, but it's great shooters that are definitely made. And finally, even in the greatest defensive battle, someone ultimately has to put the ball in the basket. Once you adopt that shooting philosophy, you must then develop a shooter's mentality. Shooters are mentally tough and supremely confident. You must shrug off comments like Gunner or he or she never saw a shot they didn't like. Because if you work at your skill, if you're unselfish and you take good shots, your teammates will respect you and they'll know it's the shooter who will want the ball when the going gets tough and ultimately makes the big shot in the clutch. Now you must ask yourself, do you want to be a great shooter? If the answer is yes, then you've set a goal for yourself. How do you accomplish that goal? You accomplish that goal in two ways. First, you must practice with a purpose, and you must develop the mentality that shooting is hard work. During the rest of this presentation, you'll see no gimmicks. I want to convince you that all it takes to be a great shooter is yourself, the basketball, a basket, and a ton of self-determination. Of course, all the hard work in the world will get you nowhere if you do not use the proper mechanics and practice with a purpose. What you've just seen is not a mistake. You too can do that through the utilization of my shooting technique. The fundamentals that I'm about to show you are a compilation of 30 years of refining my shooting method. From the floor to the rim, these fundamentals are the fundamentals for today's shooter and the shooters of the future. The first part of the fundamentals of shooting begin with keeping the body straight to the rim. 90% of shooting is maintaining a straight shot. Now, how do you get your body to be straight to the rim? Many people use the terminology of being square to the basket. What that means is that the feet must be pointing at the rim. Your shoulders are square with your chest facing the basket. So that if your feet are straight and your chest is straight, then likewise, the ball should be able to go straight to the target. A major mistake that many players make to compensate for deficiencies in their shooting technique is that they may turn the shoulder, which may correct the problem for a brief time, but ultimately will not allow them to be consistent shooters. Once you have the feet pointing at the rim, your shoulders square, your chest facing the basket, the next part are the legs. In this area, your knees should be flexed and create the balance that you need to ultimately come under the basketball. I can't emphasize enough to young players to be physically fit and to be in shape. If the legs are in any way deficient, whether through injury or through lack of conditioning, it's very difficult to ever become a great shooter. Once you're in proper position and you're straight at the basket, your knees are now flexed. You should be in what I call the triple threat or ready position. So that from this position, you can dribble, you can pass, or you can go right in and make the shot. But it's through proper balance and knee flex that a shooter is ready to shoot the basketball. One of my pet peeves as a shooting instructor is the player who is wide open but is standing totally erect, waiting for the ball to come to them. That player has no chance to ever make the shot. Shooting openings occur for a split second, and a player who's totally up and down loses that split-second opportunity to score. The next phase of the fundamentals of shooting are the arms. The arms should fall freely to the sides without having the exaggeration of what I hear many coaches and teachers teach of the elbow being in. In my method, elbows in mean the arms falling naturally to the sides and comfortably to the body. This will then allow the hands to fall to the middle of the body where the ball should be positioned. If the elbow is away from the body, it will create two problems. Number one, it will cause a shot to be flat, and there's no chance of a proper rotation. Number two, to get the maximum power, you need the elbow to come under the basketball, again, under the basketball for proper shooting technique. So now we're at a point where the body is straight, your knees are flexed, your arms are comfortable, the ball now is centered in the middle of the body. The shooting hand is on top of the basketball, the guide hand along the side. At this point, the wrist should be cocked. On that last note, many shooting instructors may disagree with me. They feel that with the wrist being cocked, that this limits the next function a player could do. My argument is that with the wrist being cocked, a player certainly can dribble, a player certainly can pass, and most importantly, a player can then shoot the basketball. The positioning on the hand is also a many times incorrectly taught function of shooting. Many people talk about having the ball on the fingertips. Many times you'll see an exaggeration of the ball being propped up on the fingertips, which certainly does not allow for controlling the basketball. The proper method is that the ball falls on the entire finger, with each finger being mini bridges and the ball actually sitting at the top of the palm. It's the center of the palm that the ball is not touching. If the ball does lay flatly on the palm, you get a shot put-like effect. And there's no chance of proper arc or proper rotation of the basketball. Now we're at a point of comfortableness. The feet are straight, shoulders square, arms along the sides of the body, hands on the ball. At this point, I'd like to talk about the guide hand. The guide hand should be laying on the ball, coming to the ball. I talked about a drill earlier that Duke performed called the grip drill. If you remember, that drill went from weak hand to strong hand, so that the strong hand was the one that was gripping the basketball, with the guide hand doing very little work. The critical area of concentration is where to focus on the rim when you're actually shooting the basketball. In my method of shooting, I want you to be so precise that you do what I did, and that is focus on the prongs that the net is actually attached to. In that way, you end up shooting over the rim. You're shooting over those two prongs, rather than do what some theories have you do in terms of shooting for the back of the rim or shooting for the front of the rim. In my method, it's shoot it to make it. The next area of the fundamentals of shooting is the release point. This is an area that is oftentimes missed in shooting instruction. First of all, when you're in your shooting position, your feet are square, your chest is pointed at the basket, your knees are bent, your arms are in, your hands are in proper position, that head is up, concentrating on your target. The ball itself has to be close to the body. As you bring the ball up, you're going to be looking to have the same release point every time you shoot the basketball. The release point in my method is called C the V. The V comes from having the ball in this position here. It's actually an inverted V, going from the left elbow to the ball and back down from the right hand to the right elbow. From that point, in the release point, you have total control of the basketball. When I'm instructing youngsters on what is the V, many times the alphabet is distorted. This is not a V. Likewise, this is not a V. The reason for this release point is because I feel that that release point is high enough to make you a big-time shooter, and also gives you control, so that if you're shooting an open shot, you can shoot a relatively flat shot and make the basket. On the other hand, from that release point, if you beat your defender and a big man's ability to arc the ball up over the defender and feel very comfortable about it. I cannot emphasize enough how critical it is to have the hands down in a comfortable position where every time you're shooting the basketball, you're seeing the V. Shooting is one motion, so that if I receive a pass, I want to be able to catch the ball and shoot the ball right from that position using the V as my release point. Catch it, and using the V as my release point. Many players make the mistake of making shooting a two-motion event. So that they catch the ball here, they want to bring the ball down, gather themselves up, and then go back into their shot. They surely may make the shot, but in that split second of reorganizing their technique, they may very well lose out on an open shooting opportunity. Now we're at the point of the follow-through. Your body is square, your feet are pointed, your shoulders are square to the basket. Your arms are comfortable, the hands on the ball. Your head is up, you're focused on your target. The knees are flexed, you have perfect body balance. You know that your release point is seeing the V. The final step actually reverts back to the first step that we talked about in terms of keeping the ball straight. I cannot emphasize enough how important keeping the ball straight every time you shoot is to the actual success of making the shot. You start off with keeping the ball straight, and through the follow-through, you finalize that all-important step of keeping the ball straight every time you shoot the basketball. Now, by follow-through, you must follow through up. Many players make the mistake of saying they followed through and following through out. It is impossible for a player to develop a consistent arc on the ball if that ball comes from a follow-through that is out as opposed to a follow-through that is up. One of the terms that I just mentioned that I have not touched on before is the arc of the basketball. To many players' surprise, if I remove the rim from the basket and laid it flat on the floor, I could put two basketballs side by side and they would fit through the opening of the basket. It only makes sense then that the decreased arc makes it much more difficult for the ball to fit through the basket as opposed to a higher arc, which gives the ball the opportunity of fitting through a larger opening. In my method, I encourage total concentration, but yet more importantly, total self-confidence. And my philosophy says that if I'm going to take the shot, I'm going to make the shot. If I put a dime down on the floor, every time I shoot the ball, I want to come right back down on that dime and give myself a chance to make the shot now. In my shooting technique, you must first start off by getting your body straight to the rim. The feet are pointed at the basket, your shoulders are square with your chest facing the rim. Your knees are flexed, so they're developing a solid base, giving you proper balance and helping you to come underneath the basketball. Your arms, so that your hands can fall properly on the basketball, which should be slightly to the center of the body, possibly a little bit to the shooting hand side. Your shooting hand is on top of the basketball. Your guide hand is on the side of the basketball. Your head then is facing the target. Make sure that the chin is up, your eyes focused on the rim. Remember that the focal point on the rim are the two prongs that the net is attached to. The ball should be into the body so that as you bring the ball up, you come up to the release point where you see the inverted V. Finally is the follow-through, so that the guide hand will come off the basketball and you'll attempt to put your hand into the basket with the ball. The follow-through should be above the head as opposed to being out towards the rim. Remember that it's repetition plus mechanics that equals success. Now, you must apply the fundamentals into a practice plan with a purpose. Too many players think that walking onto a court, flipping a few shots up at the rim, and then getting into a pickup game is working on their shooting. Before you start any drills, what you need to do is develop a rhythm. Apply all the fundamentals that we just talked about and start off in a close proximity to the basket so that you can move from 2 feet to 8 feet to 15 feet and beyond with the same shooting motion and fundamentals. All the drills that we're going to do now, you can put into a practice plan with a purpose. You need no one else other than yourself, the basket, the ball, and the goal of becoming a great shooter. The first drill that I suggest is a drill that I call shadow shooting. Shadow shooting should be done at first with no ball at all. You're basically reworking the fundamentals we talked about into a rhythmical, fluid shooting motion. That's fairly simple. You can shadow shoot in your bedroom, in your living room, or even here on a basketball court. The next stage is you then can shadow shoot with a ball, either by simulating the follow-through above the head or by actually shooting at a wall or a backboard so that, again, you're developing your rhythm and working on the fundamentals, but now it's with the basketball. Now, how do you work in a drill format on fundamentals? The first drill I'm going to show you is called the 10-spot shooting drill. The 10 spots on the court that I recommend are the right-hand corner, middle of the lane, again 15 feet, foul line extended at the 15-foot mark, the right-hand top of the key, just inside the extended portion of the key, the left-hand side of the key, the left-hand foul line extended, the middle of the key extended, and the left corner extended, with the final shot coming as a jump shot from the foul line area. The reason that you work on this drill is that you're developing the basic fundamentals. And as I ended step 3, I talked about the fact that proper mechanics and repetition equal success. You can do this drill in many different ways. What I would recommend is that you have a goal for yourself. You may start off making one shot from each spot. You may want to take 5 shots from the same spot. Your goal could either be hitting all 5 or just taking 5. Just imagine if you took 5 from each one of those 10 spots, you've now shot 50 shots just at the standstill jumper spot. I talked about the 10th shot being a foul line jump shot. This is a shot that is very seldom worked on because most players who shoot from this area primarily shoot the flat-footed foul shot. My recommendation is that between each shooting drill, you bring yourself to the foul line and work on the art of foul shooting. I would recommend that when you do this, you shoot 3 foul shots and 3 foul shots only at one time. The reason for this philosophy is that in any one game, the maximum amount of foul shots that you'll shoot is 3. And that's if you get fouled on a 3-point shot. My method of shooting the foul shot is that the same exact fundamentals, the same exact mechanics by which you're going to shoot the 15-footer, you should then bring with you to the foul line with no changes being made. The reason why players miss foul shots is that foul shooting becomes very psychological. They get to the foul line all by themselves. They take 100 dribbles. They may now turn their body sideways. Some players I've seen go through their legs, whip the ball around their body. My basic message is stop the insanity. Foul shooting is easy. The same technique by which you make your jumpers is the same pair, all the mechanics being correct, the same focal point on the rim that you use from every other position in the court should be done from the foul line itself. As you notice, my left hand is to the ball. That is one item of foul shooting that I think is very critical. But again, it's not a change from the technique that I'm showing you for the 15-foot jump shot. Remember, when you come to the foul line, you've got to have self-confidence, believe in your shooting technique, and shoot the ball the same way every time. Now I'd like to move on to what I call game situation shooting drills. So far, we've talked about standstill shooting, and that's all well and good. But game situation shooting is much different. Some of the greatest standstill shooters of all time at some point end up becoming non-factors because they're forced to shoot off the pass, shoot off the dribble, or shoot off of some kind of offensive move. I'm going to go back now to the shadow drill that I talked about before. The importance of the shadow drill for game situation shooting is very significant. Mainly because shooting off the move requires a concentration on the footwork of shooting. If you're moving to catch a pass, you go over there, and you're coming in from an angle, you've got to now turn yourself to have the correct shooting technique that I previously talked about. You must get yourself square to the basket. Well, in the shadow shooting drill, hold the ball for a second, that's exactly what you would work on. You'd take at least 2 steps, and at that point, you would work on the footwork of shooting. You have 2 different choices. You can pivot and turn yourself on the inside foot, or you can utilize the more modern method of jump stepping into your turn. When you're doing it with the basketball and you're utilizing the move off the dribble, you now have 3 methods. You have the same pivot turn off the inside foot to get you squared up. You have the jump stop method, of which you pick the ball up to get yourself squared to the basket. Or you can utilize the pro move, in which you turn yourself with your last dribble. And you're actually bringing the last dribble into your turn to square yourself off at the basket. In these next couple drills, we're going to apply what you can do with the shadow footwork, pivoting and turning. Jump stop and do it. Or as I showed you with the basketball, of dribbling into it, and apply all that footwork into working on shooting off the pass and shooting off the dribble. The title of this drill is the 4-spot shooting drill. First, we'll work on shooting off the dribble. The emphasis on this drill, again, is getting the proper footwork so that you can turn yourself quickly and effortlessly during the course of a game. In this drill, you're going to dribble down to the corner. At least 2 dribbles and turn yourself. My method of turning myself is off the inside leg. So right now, I'm going to show you that technique. As you can see, that inside leg stopped me, pivoted me, got me correctly squared up to the basket, and enabled me to make the shot. In this particular drill, you would use the same technique going 4 different directions. Dribble to the corner, dribble across to the foul line area. You would then come to the left-hand side of the court and repeat what you've done on that side. The emphasis of the drill is to take at least 2 dribbles, turn yourself, and be square into your shot. Similar to the 4-spot shooting off the dribble drill, you would throw the ball out to the right-hand corner, across to the foul line area, on the left-hand side to the left-hand corner, and again across to the foul line area. Again, how you approach this drill is up to you. You can take 5 shots going each direction. You can set a goal of making 3 shots going each direction. How hard you want to work is up to you in this practice plan. The next drill that I'd like to show you, I refer to as a 2-spot shooting drill. 2 similar areas of the floor, one to the foul line extended on the right-hand side, the other area on the foul line extended on the left-hand side. The first drill is the quick shooting drill. The reason why I put this into my workout is because shooting is not necessarily shooting over someone as it is getting the ball past the defender. In this drill, you'll stutter step, 1 quick dribble at the defender to rock him back, and shoot the ball past the defender, not enabling him to recover back to his defensive position. You would shoot 5 going right, 5 shooting off the left foot stutter step. Likewise, you go to the left-hand side of the floor and shoot 5 going in each direction. The second drill that I would use off of this 2-spot shooting drill is the behind-the-back dribble. This basically originated for ball-hand coordination, so that I wasn't looking at the basketball before I was shooting it. You'd want to shoot 5 going right to left, 5 going left to right. Again, you would utilize both sides of the floor. At all times, you want to remember that between drills, you'll be shooting 3 foul shots. The next drill that you can utilize off of these 2 spots is what I call the space maker drill. It's a drill that I came up with to compensate, rather than shooting over a player, but to create space so that you could get a shot off quickly utilizing 2 dribbles. The move goes like this. You stutter step, dribble once at the defender. Stutter step, dribble, cross, and shoot the basketball. By doing that, look at the space I'm creating. Stutter step, 1 dribble, cross, and shoot the basketball. With 2 dribbles, you can free yourself from a defender and create a wide open shot. Again, you have to remember that most offensive skills come from ball quickness and getting the shot past the defender. This drill is called the triangle shooting drill. You start off behind the 3-point line and you take at least 2 dribbles to the 15-foot area and shoot the shot. You get your own rebound, bring the ball to the opposite side of the floor, cross to the left hand, since you're on the left-hand side of the floor. Now take 2 dribbles again into the 15-foot area and shoot the shot. Off of that drill, you can also do the triangle off the pass drill. Same thing, you start off behind the 3-point line, self-pass into the 15-foot area, and shoot the shot. Rebound your own shot, come back behind the 3-point line, flip the ball out into the 15-foot area, and shoot the shot. Off the same series, you can also do a one dribble crossover into the lane drill. You'll take 2 dribbles into the 15-foot area, cross hard, and shoot the short lane jumper. Likewise, you'll rebound the ball, dribble it to the opposite side of the floor, crossover, 2 dribbles, big cross into the lane, and shoot the short lane jumper. Off of this triangle series, I would also recommend that you work on shooting the bank shot for a feel for the ball and for game situation shooting. Again, you start off behind the 3-point line, take 2 dribbles into the 15-foot area, and shoot softly off the glass. You would dribble to the left-hand side of the floor, crossover, 2 dribbles, and shoot the ball off the glass. The next drill that I'd like to show you is called the explosion drill. This is a drill that very seldom is worked on by guards, yet many times they're put in a situation where they're coming high speed off a fast break and find themselves just below the foul line area. This is the drill. You would then cross, explode with your left hand, right below the foul line, and shoot the short jump shot. The next drill is what I call the 5-spot circus drill. You're going to toss the ball out to one of the 5 spots. Rotate behind the ball, make 1 quick dribble. You then would come in, get your own rebound, and throw out to spot 2. And likewise, set up behind, 1 quick dribble, and shoot the shot. The 5 spots are right-hand corner, right-hand shoulder, foul line key area, left-hand shoulder, and left-hand corner. You would do the drill as quickly as possible, trying to get all 5 shots made within 30 seconds. Finally, to totally convince you that shooting is hard work, I've developed what I call the doomsday shooting drill. The ball is placed at the corner of the foul line, and the shooter is foul line extended. The shooter would run towards the baseline area, come back to pick the ball up, making sure the shooter gets behind the ball, picks the ball up, and shoots the basketball. The shooter would then rebound the ball, put the ball down, and repeat the sequence back to the baseline, back to the ball. To do this drill and get the same effect from both sides, you could do the drill in this fashion. Go to the baseline, back to the ball, shoot the ball, rebound the ball, back to the foul line, to the baseline, and repeat the drill going the other direction. There you have enough drills that you can do all by yourself and definitely put into a practice plan with a purpose. You should be creative. Do fun and challenging drills. Drills such as a high arc drill, in which only shots that arc high enough to your opponent's liking count. Drills such as swish-only horse, in which that shot would not count. Or bank shot horse, in which only shots that bank count. Come to the foul line, and shoot foul shots, in which only swishes count. And likewise, to improve your shooting touch, shoot foul shots, bank shot. Fun drills like those will enhance your shooting ability, your touch, and your feel for the basketball. No shooting instruction would be complete without a discussion of the three-point shot. The creation of the three-point line has made a significant impact on the great shooters. The three-point shot, in some ways, is very similar to shooting the 15-footer. The same fundamentals apply. However, there are some slight differences that must be noted to become a consistent three-point shooter. The three-point shot needs the shooter to consistently come under the basketball for maximum power. It's impossible for a three-point shooter to have their hands up above their head to make the shot. A three-point shooter must have those hands down in the C to the V area so that he's getting maximum power behind the shot. Likewise, behind the three-point line, a player cannot overjump while taking the shot. Many times on the 15-foot shot, players find themselves in a situation where they're actually jumping over the defender to shoot the basketball. However, on the three-point shot, that becomes impossible because you're overextended and usually straining if the jump is too high. My recommendation for a three-point shooter is to become a space shooter, so that either off the move or by positioning, you're creating space to be able to take and make the three-point shot. Another problem with the three-point line is that many players find themselves not realizing where the three-point line is, and then finding themselves going backwards, either as the pass is coming to them or taking themselves back off the dribble. By having the body weight falling backwards, it again puts the shooter himself on the defensive and does not allow the power to take you into the three-point shot. The final item, and probably the most important part of the three-point shot, is the footwork. Many players find themselves stationary at the three-point line, waiting for the pass to come to them. They may be wide open, they may have positioned themselves properly, but because they're basically in a flat-footed position, they do not have the power to take and make the shot that is needed. The proper positioning for a three-point shot is that the player finds a space in which he's open and positions himself to be able to step into the pass with their power foot leading forward, with their weight will then take them into the shot and actually across the line. Remember with a three-point shot that it's where the feet start from that make it a three-pointer and not where you end up. Likewise, off the dribble, a player needs to be behind the line, know where the line is, so that the dribbles will then take them into the line and create the momentum for taking and making the three-point shot. The drills that we went over for the 15-foot shot can be expanded in many ways to the three-point line. There are some drills that I would recommend, specifically for the three-pointer. One drill that I definitely would not recommend is any sort of standstill shooting from the three-point area. In my philosophy of the three-point shot, there is no such thing as a standstill three-pointer. What I would recommend is what I call the 5-spot shooting drill. The 5 spots being the corner behind the three-point line, foul line extended behind the three-point line, behind the top of the key, since the majority of three-point shots come from the top of the key, 15-foot extended on the left-hand side of the floor, and likewise to the left-hand corner behind the three-point line. Now, in all of those areas, you can do all these drills by yourself. The first one would be to dribble into the line, as I just explained. Take at least 2 dribbles so that your momentum takes you into the line. You would do 5 going right, 5 going left. Likewise, you want to go off the pass. 5 going to your right side hip and into the shot. 5 going off your left side hip with your momentum taking you into the line. So that if you took 5 off the self-pass, you will shot 100 shots just off of those 2 moves. You could also do the 2-spot shooting drill behind the three-point line. The quick shooting with your jab step, 1 dribble, and the momentum taking you into the line. Off the right-hand dribble, jab step, 1 dribble, off the left-handed dribble. Again, if you shot 5 going each direction on both sides of the floor, that would give you 20 shots. Likewise, off the behind the back dribble, taking you into the line so that you're working on the ball-hand coordination going each way, and so that behind the three-point line, you're not looking and searching for the ball, but that you're being aware of the line, having your momentum take you into the line to shoot the 3. The last shot that I just took is a perfect example of a mistake that many three-point shooters make. The major difference is that this is not a three-point shot, whereas the matter of a couple inches and being aware of having the three-point line in front of you all of a sudden becomes a true three-point shot. The last drill is called the radar drill. The radar drill is simply a range-increasing drill in which you want to make some move, either off the dribble or off the self-pass, well behind the three-point line, which should work on increasing your range. Hopefully that you'll recognize that the three-point shot is different only by distance than the 15-foot fundamentals that we talked about earlier. All the fundamentals that are utilized in shooting the mid-range jump shot, can be also utilized at the three-point line. Remember to keep the hands down, to come under the basketball, utilize the correct footwork by stepping into the line so that your momentum then takes you over the line and into your shot. If you just maintain those simple parts of the three-point shot, the same repetition and proper mechanics will equal success.